Pack-A-Day podcast that airs 365 days a year with over 12 million views on YouTube. A new adventure begins. It's time for the Pack-A-Day radio show with Andy Herman on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook and on the free Odyssey app.
And I remember from year one, not having the season I wanted to have, to talking to Kenny, talking to P, talking to Z, and just having that feeling that I'm not gonna have the same season that I had last year. So just going to work, man, and I feel like we right around the same time. I feel like year 3, start getting confidence, start understanding yourself better. Like I said, it's year 2 in Coach Hafley's defense. He understands what he's asked to do. So just watch out for the season, man. 90 gonna cause some problems.
Well, hello, Packers Nation. Welcome into an all-new Pack-A-Day radio show. My name is Andy Herman. We are live from the 1250 AM, or as Sparky would say, live from the 105.7 and 1250 AM FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We are going to be joined today by Dusty Evely, Pack-A-Day Podcast, Acme Packing Company. We will be joined by him at 8:20 a.m. today. Would also love for you to join the show. You can do it in so many different ways. Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250. Also, if you are watching on YouTube, you can comment in, and we will get those comments and can read your questions live today as well. That was the one and only Rashawn Gary talking about LVN. Rashawn kind of talking about some of his struggles in year 1 and then how he kind of progressed and got better after that, and said to kind of watch out for LVN in a similar vein as he gets ready for year 3. That was courtesy of WBAY here in Green Bay. We've got a lot to talk about today. Training camp day 13, including LVN having a very impressive performance yesterday. In fact, I think one of the better performances of any player at training camp so far. We've got some injury updates. Also want to talk about a player that is sneakily making his way into a roster lock on this Packers 53-man roster. So we'll talk about that as well. But Tommy, I'm going to be honest here. You know me. I'm usually pretty focused, all in on Green Bay Packers. We're talking Taylor Elgersma. We're talking back of the roster guys. It is very, and I mean very difficult for me to focus today and not just want to start by talking for, 7 hours about the Milwaukee Brewers right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're awesome. They've been just incredible. 10-game winning streak. Well, if it makes you feel again, if it makes you feel any better, you just put me in a terrible mood by me having to listen to Rashawn Gary say how much LVN reminds him of himself back in the day, because now I have completely...
This is what you wanted.
No, it's just completely given up. I had some faith in LVN. You couldn't stop tweeting about him yesterday, saying how amazing he looks in practice, how awesome he's doing against the ones, and then we have to hear this sound from Rashawn Gary to be like, yeah, I see myself in him. Now I'm out. Now I'm out again, Andy.
I understand. And here's let's just jump into LVN right away, because here's the thing. LVN's had a really nice camp up until this point. Like, there's no two ways about it. And I have not stayed quiet on it, but I have not bought anything into it. Like, as well as he has played in training camp so far, if we're talking buying or selling stock, I've not bought nor sold any LVN stock. It's sitting where it is, whatever I have left, over in the corner, and we'll see if it ages well or if it ages poorly. I've already invested a little bit. It's not, it is what it is at this point. I'm not getting excited. I'm not going out there and be like, ooh, I want more. I need to see it in the regular season. There's no two ways around it. I'm not going to, put the green and gold tinted glasses on and really just get ultra excited about LVN in practices and then have him go out in games and just be like, all right, did LVN play in that game? He needs to take a legitimate and real step actually on the field when the lights are on, and then I will actually believe it wholeheartedly, and then we'll go on from there. It'll be very exciting. Yesterday at practice was the first day where I'm like, all right, I'm still not buying the stock. I'm still, but I'm now monitoring prices. I'm now just looking at it again, because yesterday was a really impressive performance from LVN. And like I said, I thought one of the better days that anyone's had at training camp so far. I guess outside maybe Omar Brown's 3 interception day at family night, that probably is up there also. And again, that should actually just go to show you, that does not guarantee a star come regular season. I'm not expecting Omar Brown to go out and all of a sudden be the star safety for this team or anything. But it nonetheless was impressive. He had a play early on where he had a twist inside. Looked like maybe he beat Aaron Banks on the play. I don't want to say that for sure, but he twisted inside, had an immediate, what I think would have been a sack on Jordan on that play. On the very next play against John Fitzpatrick, sets the edge against the run, forces the running back more outside, and then kind of chases that down from behind. And then the very next play, There is a bootleg by Jordan, and Jordan rolls to the right and waiting there for him. Unblocked on this particular play for sure, but keeping with his assignment, and what would have been another sack in this instance would have been LVN, of course. And then later he has another run stuff, and then he has another play where him and Rashawn Gary, this is like your favorite, ultimate duo here, Tommy. Him and Rashawn Gary collapse the pocket from the outside and, are able to get to Jordan. It's good coverage on the back end as well, but LVN ends up with that quote unquote would-be sack as well. So, I mean, you're talking, 3 sacks, a couple run stuffs on the day, and there was a back-to-back-to-back play, 3 plays in a row where LVN was flashing into the backfield and making his presence known. And again, just when you have that type of performance in any one practice and one player just keeps popping and popping and popping over and over and over, it's certainly noteworthy, and you certainly are able to, kind of just take that mental note of it. And again, we're not crowning anyone here today on August 12th on the Pack-A-Day radio show, but it's good to see him stacking performances. And what I will say unequivocally is this has been by far and away his best training camp of his career so far. And it has not been particularly close. And you can argue he's been the most impactful defensive lineman that has been out there at training camp so far as well. Will it transition onto the field come, Detroit and Washington and early in the season and hopefully later in the season? That remains to be seen. And that's what I still need him to go out there and prove. But kudos where kudos are due. He's had a really great camp, and I thought flashed more than anyone yesterday.
When you say defensive line, Andy, has he just been exclusively edge this entire camp as well?
There are a couple times I can remember for sure in OTAs and mini camps where he kicked inside as like a, pass rushing specialist inside. There was a play in the preseason game, actually, fun enough, where they line up beginning in a 4-3 sort of situation. And then LVN actually kicks inside to like a 3-4 defensive end, and Isaiah Simmons comes around him as like a 3-4 outside linebacker. And so it's like basically Gary and Simmons that are acting as your outside linebackers. And then you've got your 2 defensive tackles and LVN focusing as your defensive lineman, and then McDuffie and Cooper as your linebackers. So they basically transitioned a 4-3 into a 3-4 on the fly, and LVN kind of kicked inside a little bit on that. So there's been a couple things that they have done with that, but for the vast majority of plays, it has been primarily as a defensive end.
Yeah, and now I'm looking at LVN and trying to gauge what would be a successful season for him. And is it more that he's depending on an eye test or depending on results at this point? Because I think a lot of people can argue that results for Rashawn Gary in year 3 were very good compared to an eye test of Rashawn Gary in year 3 being very good, right? You get 9.5 sacks. Everyone thinks, chop it up. It's great. Even last year, 7.5 sacks, not a terrible number. It's just something that you would expect more, I guess, out of your number 1 edge rusher, and the contract that Rashawn Gary has gotten with that as well, where you would like to see him into those double-digit numbers and really just wrecking the game. Last year, he at least had a very productive run-stuffing defensive end season compared to the years prior. But LVN, it seems like right now, we can't you can't even really expect, okay, I need to see something this year. It's more he needs to do something this year, it feels like, on LVN.
Well, it's funny. Somebody, during, I think one of our live chats the other day asked me basically of what is a successful season from LVN? What does that look like? What does that look like from a statistical standpoint, like my grades, PFF grades? What do you ultimately need to see? Here's some things that I kind of start off with as I'm looking at LVN's year 3. In 2 years, 793 total snaps. He has 38 total pressures. We're working on 19 pressures per season through 2 years so far. That needs to basically, when he's had 38 in 2 years, I need him to have about 48 in 1 year this year. Yeah. So we're talking about, easily doubling his per year production. He had 20 pressures a season ago. So I need probably about 40. We're over doubling the max amount of pressures that he's had in the league so far. 1 pressure per game is not going to do it from LVN. So that's number 1. There needs to be legitimate, tangible impact. Sometimes sacks are fickle. Sometimes you can cause chaos by just getting pressures.
Sure.
Imagine if, LVN just in and of himself doubled his amount of pressures on the season. That is going to help this team in a pretty significant way this year. So that's number 1. Number 2, I need him to stay consistent and probably even just get a little bit better in run defense. And I think he has the ability to do that. He had the great play yesterday, a couple great plays in run defense yesterday. There is no reason There's no reason why, even if his pass rush does not come along, that he cannot be one of the best edge-setting defensive ends in the league. He has the strength. He has the size. This is not something where, a lot of times with LVN, we talk about, well, he needs to have a better pass rush plan and he needs to have a couple moves at his disposal. Yeah, but in run defense, dude, you just need to get under the pads, use your good solid technique, and you win with leverage and be strong. And he has everything that he needs to be able to do that, to be one of the best edge-setting defensive ends in the league. So even if that pass rush plan does not come along, I need to see him be one of the better run defenders in the league and take I would still say a jump in that regard this upcoming season. And then I'll just add on top of that, there needs to be a little bit of like the eye test that goes along with this. I've seen, I don't want to throw any players under the bus here, but I've seen a couple players in their time in Green Bay. I think there was, okay, maybe I will throw one. And it's not even meant to be like harsh, but like Kyler Fackrell, I think had a 3 or 4 sack game one time and had a season where it was like 8 or 9 sacks. And a lot of that was right place, right time. It was some good effort, good energy on a couple plays, but a lot of it was right place, right time. Like the sack to pressure ratio was like out of this world, like where you should not be able to get that many sacks on so few pressures. Like I don't need to see, that type of season where it's like, all right, yeah, he lucked into 8 sacks. Awesome. Congratulations. But I need to see real legitimate football wins on the field as well. So there is a large step that needs to take place from where we saw LVN this past season. The good news for him, he is set, by the way, Tommy, to make his very first start of both his college and NFL career in week 1 against Detroit. He has never started a game outside of preseason so far in his entire football career. So he is set to make that first start. He is going to get more playing time. He is very clearly the number 2 defensive end opposite Rashawn Gary, ahead of Enigbari, Barron Sorrell, anyone else on the team. So he's going to get a huge uptick in playing time. Now he's got to go out, prove it, earn it, and show that he can be an impact player on this team.
And yeah, not to derail us too much. Kyler Fackrell had 10.5 sacks on 18 pressures in 2018.
Yes. I mean, it was the most ridiculous season ever.
Way to make the most of your opportunity there, Kyler Fackrell. But I completely agree, Andy, and I know he's going to get a bump in playing time, but again, like that could be pointed back to the depth of the edge setting positions already now for Green Bay. And I do think Rashawn Gary is a starting quality edge rusher in the NFL. I don't want it to sound like I think he's terrible. I just have higher expectations for him. Now with Lucas Van Ness, I don't know if anyone else on the defensive line really draws up any more attention where it would help or benefit Lucas Van Ness. I think that people think he is like capable of one man guarding him. And do they have a specific side that they like him on more? Is he rushing more from the left, from the right? Are they trying to just move those guys around from either side of the ball? Like, I think the Green Bay is going to put him in every possible positive situation this year because they feel that too. They feel that there needs to be production and eye test on Lucas Van Ness this season, and I am still fearful that can he live up to those expectations?
He's been primarily on the right side, just as an example in this preseason game, 8 snaps from the right, 1 from the left. So they will move those guys around a little bit, but for the most part, it's Rashawn on the left and LVN on the right. And I do hope that there's opportunities to, in the right matchups, maybe switch those guys up a little bit more. But yeah, again, this is going to have to be something where he goes out and actually shows that he can live up to that potential. And we heard from Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary at the onset, again from the WBAY audio there, said that he thinks that he's more than capable of doing it. We've heard from his coaches. There's a lot of belief in LVN in that room. Make no mistake whatsoever, Tommy. This season, in large part to me right now, there's a lot of pressure on the offense. Jordan Love, some of the wide receivers with the drops, but I've talked about it. A prerequisite to being a Super Bowl contender is a legitimate pass rush with your front four. And I mean like a really good pass rush with your front four. They've invested first-round picks and lots of money into Devontae Wyatt, LVN, Kenny Clark, and Rashawn Gary. It is going to take those. It can't just be smoke and mirrors from Jeff Hafley. It cannot just be a bunch of blitzes. Eventually, teams will unlock that and figure that stuff out. At some point in time against good quarterbacks, when you have to make a gauntlet playoff run of some of the best teams and quarterbacks in the NFL, you've got to be able to cover with 7, win with 4, with the 4 guys that are expected to be rushing, and you've got to get to the quarterback that way. And if all of a sudden LVN, Gary, Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt are not the quartet to do it unless somebody crazy steps up out of nowhere, it probably is going to be a non-starter for this team being a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, one more thing too, Andy. Last year, I believe they just did this on a topic on Wisconsin Sports Daily maybe a week or two ago, but the Packers blitzed 17.3, I think, percent of the time on defense, and that was among the lowest in the NFL. Do you see that number increasing this year, or do you see it more baseline staying the same?
Well, that's an interesting number because sometimes the blitz numbers are unique in like what's a blitz. So, for example, like if you bring 4, but you bring a corner off the edge and drop a defensive end, is that a blitz? You still brought 4 guys. Or if so some of those numbers are interesting. I thought Jeff Hafley did a fantastic job last year of like sometimes bringing only 3 or 4 guys, but it was not the 3 or 4 guys that you were expecting it. So you still had 7 guys in coverage, and teams just really struggled to diagnose where the actual pressure was coming from.
Well, what if I just ask that, are they going to send 5 more often this year?
I don't think so. I think we're going to see a very similar game plan to last year. And I think, Jeff Hafley's smart enough to use those pressure situations in the right instances, in the right situations, and, kind of figure out when the right time to utilize some of those things are. If it went up to, what did you say? It was like 17.8% or something like that?
Yeah, 17.3 or something. It was in 17s. Yeah.
If you said like it got to like 21%, I don't know that I would be like stunned by that number or anything, but I think it'll be probably in the same vicinity overall. And the hope is, imagine if you could do it less. Imagine if you could just win with those 4 up front, and all of a sudden it could go down to like 15%, and it really became more of a niche thing in certain situations. And I think that would even make it more effective. We'll see. Again, I think a lot of it's going to be dependent upon how those front 4 perform, and hopefully we see a much improved. And we know Kenny Clark and LVN were banged up a year ago, and so there's some hope there. They bring in a new defensive line coach, and now the only thing left is to hopefully see the results as soon as Detroit in week 1 coming up in a few weeks. All right, listen to the Pack-A-Day radio show live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. The player that I mentioned, Tommy, that is making his case for a lead pipe lock on the 53-man roster. Do you want to take a guess?
Jordan Love.
He's close. He's still got some things he needs to accomplish in order to get there.
Is it Omar Brown?
It is not Omar Brown. It is the one, the only, John Fitzpatrick, ladies and gentlemen. John Fitzpatrick. This guy's having a fantastic camp. He had a really nice catch in preseason, had a really beautiful play over the middle on like a deep crosser on like an over route yesterday at practice. He is getting pretty much every 3 tight end, number 3 tight end look. Ben Sims is definitely falling further and further back. To the point where I think even if you told me right now they kept 4 tight ends, which I don't think is likely at the moment, but if they did, I would probably tell you the 4th guy is not on the roster right now. I think they're probably looking on the waiver wire for a new tight end to be tight end number 4. But Fitzpatrick is so well ahead of Ben Sims, and like kind of sneakily, like it may be starting to get in that Lucas Musgrave territory. I'm not there yet. I'm not making that declaration yet, but you can make an argument that some of the stuff that Fitzpatrick is doing, specifically as a blocker, Fitzpatrick's just better. There's no 2 ways around that.
Sure.
And he's actually kind of made more plays down the field than Musgrave as well. So just something to monitor there between the number 2 and number 3 tight ends. But he's really, really doing a nice job to the point where I would now be pretty stunned overall if John Fitzpatrick does not make this team.
Yeah, and Green Bay always goes in with 3 tight ends, right? It feels like at least. Not that
except
the
when
third
they went with 5
right
that one year.
Yeah, not that the 3rd tight end gets a whole lot of action, but that was kind of their plan when they had Sims being that 3rd guy when Musgrave 2 years ago, right? With Musgrave and Kraft taking over 1 and 2. Sims played a lot during that time in situational moments, maybe like an 8 to 12 snap a game guy, right? Yep. And that's kind of what they're expecting out of Fitzpatrick too. And if the offense does go in the direction of really leaning into Jacobs all season, there's probably going to be more opportunities for that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 12 to 15 snaps, rotating those guys in and out, especially if they are talking and highlighting the blocking too, because I know it's something that we have seen, has been a high priority for Luke Musgrave, that he's trying to improve upon that. But I don't know if you can speak upon that before we get out of here too, is like, does it look like Luke Musgrave is getting better as a blocker as well to maybe have that edge over Fitzpatrick?
I think he has the edge over Fitzpatrick just because he has a little bit more of the speed and dynamic playmaking ability. Although we need to see a little bit more of that as well. But as a blocker, no, I still think Fitzpatrick's better. The cool thing, we saw a little bit of a three tight end set yesterday, which we haven't seen a ton of lately. That's actually the play that Fitzpatrick caught that big pass on, was with Musgrave, Kraft, and Fitzpatrick all on the field at the same time. One wide receiver, one running back. They go play action. Fitzpatrick's able to get open downfield.
Who was the wide receiver during that? Do you remember?
I want to say it might have been Golden, but don't quote me on that. Like Golden was the first player that came to my mind, but I don't have quite the photographic memory that I would like in some of those situations. But yeah, either way, it was a really beautiful play, great play design, and Fitzpatrick hits well down the middle of the field on getting a deeper over route. But yeah, I still have a lot of I have faith in Musgrave. We can have. Just go back, everyone, and rewind the LVN conversation, but just put Lucas Musgrave instead of Lucas Van Ness in the conversation and change all the defensive end stuff to tight end stuff. And it's basically the exact same conversation. And quite frankly, Luke Musgrave probably gets a little bit more of a pass because LVN is ahead of him in that draft and people are so wanting something from him. But Musgrave's basically been in the same exact boat as LVN so far.
It's going to be like Martellus Bennett sound instead of Rashawn Gary sound on like, oh, it reminds me a lot of him. Like, and just to reset it all.
Little bit, yes. Very, very well said. Just really quick on the drop front. We had a good play and a bad play yesterday when it comes to everyone's favorite point of emphasis, which, of course, is wide receiver drops. In 2 minutes, you had a situation where you're on the 30-yard line, 30 seconds left after Jordan Love had connected with Josh Jacobs on a big play, and you're down by 6, and Jordan drops back to pass, and it was a nice route by Malik Heath. It's going to be about a 21-yard pickup. They're going to go up and spike the ball and probably have 3 chances from about the 8 or 9 yard line to get the ball in the end zone for the win. Love puts it right on Heath. It's a little high, but not in like necessarily even a bad way. And it hits Heath right in the hands and clanks right off of him, and a huge drop, and the drive stalls out from there. Heath did come back with a catch on the next play, but on a play that Evan Williams would have been lighting him up in a real actual game. And then, so that was a very unfortunate play, and Heath, of course, had a big drop in the preseason game as well. Meanwhile, everyone's favorite hands catcher, Matthew Golden, makes one of the more unreal in stride. The ball is at his feet, Tommy. The ball is at his feet and in front of him. And every wide receiver in my lifetime that I covered, I think is either sliding or diving for that ball. And somehow Matthew Golden extends his hands and the same formation that he would, or the same way that he would if the ball was at his chest or up above his head, still just extends, plucks the ball at his feet, and still remains in stride. The dude is just ridiculous, and he continues to make every single catch that basically comes his way. All right, we've got a lot more to get to, though. Dusty Evely is going to be joining us here in just a moment. Excited to chat with him. Also, Football Talk on the Fan is presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game live every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. Right now, we are 69 and cloudy in Milwaukee, high of 79, low of 66 today. We'll be right back with Dusty Evely on the Pack-A-Day Radio Show, presented by Potawatomi Sportsbook. Welcome back to the Pack a Day Radio Show, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, and powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Reminder, the Mason Crosby Show is coming up next from 9 to 11 with Mitch Thunder Nellis. Right now, though, we are being joined by Dusty Evely, Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. You can find him on social media at Dusty Evely, acmepackingcompany.com, Pack a Day Podcasts, a little bit of everywhere. Dusty, I missed you. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's nice sitting here talking about like football things that happened, that just happened. It's very exciting.
It would have been nicer if there were better football things that happened that we would have got to talk about. But yes, it is still fun to be talking about football stuff.
Beggars
nonetheless.
Can't be choosers, Andy. We take
that is very that is very true. Let's start there. Before I know you dove into the tape, I really want to get into your Jordan Love drop back film breakdown on this as well, and some of the other film review that you did. But film aside, just overarching gut feel, nauseousness, like what, as you're watching that game, what was the kind of feel that you had?
I mean, not great, but years ago, I got rid of anything that cared about preseason football. Like as far as
well done
outcome, how it looked on first look. My 7-year-old son could not sleep, and so I watched with him, and so that was cool. And yeah, when he was like, "Why aren't the Packers scoring more points?" Like, it's just sit over there for a little bit, buddy. Stop asking questions. So, I mean, at first blush, not great. Anytime you get beat that bad, even in the preseason, there's a bit of all right, man. Well, the starters were out there for, the starters, offense for 2 series, defense for 1 series. Maybe that's not great, but even watching live the defense, I was like, they've got 1 call. Like they were rolling a safety. They're vacating the middle on purpose. I know they had some drop coverage and stuff. So even watching it live, I was like, this isn't great, but it's probably not that bad. And you get into it and you're watching individual players and all that. And it's never as bad or as good as it initially looked. And so when I was watching it, did I feel great about staying up late to watch a game that was 30-10? I don't know, not really, but this is my sickness, right? It doesn't matter that much, I guess. So overall, I guess first impression, not great, but not as bad once I started getting in a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Let's go with the big film breakdown first, and that was on Jordan Love's dropbacks. You can find it, I think I read on acmepackingcompany.com, right, Dusty? Just want to make sure that's
right now. I did a video on YouTube, but I'm writing something up for Acme that should be up hopefully later today or tomorrow.
Beautiful. So check out Dusty's YouTube channel to find it all there. But you did a great breakdown of Jordan Love's dropbacks. I don't want you to give away everything, but what were some of your big takeaways from that?
Yeah, I thought he was fine. I mean, he had the Musgrave miss that I think was I don't know about bad process. I think the read was good. I think he tried to buy, which was an issue last year. So he'll try to buy a little more time than he needed to, and then was late on the throw. And I mean, the throw is high. Throw is not good. I think the bigger issue was the timing of that was bad. Everything else, I thought that the process and timing of was good. He had one. I think it was the backside, that slant to Dobbs, that I think the one that glanced off his hands. I don't think it was the PI one. That was it was a 3-step concept each side. He sets, he's getting ready to throw to the left. And this is one it's almost, we saw him almost, I guess it's not the exact same. There's a linebacker kind of fading underneath that from the middle that kind of disguises that well initially. That if he throws that, it's probably picked. He doesn't even look like he's looking at the linebacker, but he sees the linebacker, moves off of it, easily transitions backside, throws a really nice throw that just it was just blanketed. That was the one Sauce knocked away. It was good coverage. Yeah. It was a really good throw. So process-wise, footwork-wise, all that stuff, I thought it looked really, really good. I mean, I said it, and I'll say it again. I mean, that's not stuff. They ran, I think, 7 dropbacks. I think they had 5 of those were just 3-step mirrored concepts, essentially. They don't run that much in the game. That was stuff Rodgers loved that stuff. And so they ran a lot of that stuff. And they will run quick game with Love. They're not going to run it that much. They will run straight 3-step each side, maybe 4 times in a game. They're not running it 5 times in 7 plays. So it was very much let's get the ball out of his hands. Let's get this over with quick. He can get these reads out. You can get this done. I mean, that was their big takeaways. As far as quick game stuff, he was good. Reads were good. Eyes were good. Feet were good. He had the one he was laying on a Musgrave, but overall, I watched that yeah, that was good. The drops stunk, man. Even the Heath one, he worked back to that and then put that in a great position to not, I was gonna say lead Heath upfield, like not like where he's like standing still and then he has to run for it. He put that on outside shoulder up the field,
Yep.
so when he catches that, he can go up and get the first down. Like the placement on all of his stuff, I thought was really, really good. It was just he had the one bad one, though. Again, good read, bad timing, and then everything else was just drops or good defense. I mean, Sauce was on Dobbs. You hope is going to be what at most wide receiver 2. And you got Sauce blanketing him, like he's probably not going to be in that matchup too much. So I mean that happens sometimes.
Well, to your point, even on that play, I think it was Golden on the opposite side that he wanted on the slant, another slant, again, just to show how basic this offense was on the day. But I think it was Golden he wanted on the slant. Yep. And to your point, that linebacker screamed over. Yep. Like he looked left, and that linebacker, because I'm sure the Jets knew too, we're getting the ball out of Jordan's hands. Like we're not going to do anything deep, like major, big concepts here. Yep. So he looks left, and that linebacker screams into that window. And like you said, if he throws it, it's probably pick six.
Yeah.
And then so he comes off of that, goes to the other side. And also, again, I'm sure Jordan's clock here is like, I'm just getting the ball out of my hand. I'm not going to go and sit in the pocket and buy time. So that first read's not there. He's getting to that next read and just ripping it. Like probably didn't even matter at that point. And then Sauce is just blanketing Romeo Dobbs. So yeah, there's not much you can kind of do in that specific scenario. And it was interesting too, the Musgrave one. I heard a lot of people say, and I'm on the same page as you on this one, heard a lot of people say that Musgrave kind of stopped on the route and should have just ran through it. I didn't see it that way. I thought it was a little bit late, a little bit high, and I thought Musgrave kind of did his best to make a leaping attempt at it at the end. And even if he continues, there's two safeties. I think his safety's kind of converging on it. I read it the same way you did.
Yeah. I mean, and that was just, it was like 3 verts. They're setting like 2 up and then Musgrave up the seam, and those 2 safeties bail hard. And so that was immediately, Love was like, okay, I got this. And Tom loses immediately. But that's an issue we've had with Love in the past as well, where like if Love steps up into that and throws that, he's got that. But instead there's like this, I don't think he like traffic around his feet. Again, maybe it was just drilled into him in the preseason. Don't get hit. And instead of just ripping, he sidestep but knows he still has that read. I've made this throw before, but by that point the safety just converts. So yeah, again, just that one I put fully on Love. Again, good read. It's just he was a tick late because that sidestep.
Being joined by Dusty Evely, AcmePackingCompany.com, Pack a Day Podcast. Also check him out over on his YouTube channel. Just at Dusty Evely on YouTube?
Yes. Yeah, that sounds, I should know that. That sounds
beautiful. Beautiful. This is how much research I came in Acme Packing Company. I should have double checked that. So my apologies on that. As you're going through the film review, you mentioned that Zach Tom play. PFF and I are usually pretty in, like, it's not always like verbatim on grades, but there's usually like, some similar, if it's not, it rhymes, if nothing else. Right. And, Zach Tom, I thought had a tough one in this one. They had like an 80+ grade on him in this game. He got beat immediately on that one. We don't need to even dive into it, but that was one where I'm like, we did not see the same Zach Tom performance at all. I had a pretty decent negative grade on him. Like one of the weirder Zach Tom performances I think I've ever seen out of him. And it's preseason, it doesn't matter. I've become 1,000,000,000% faith in Zach Tom moving forward, but that was just kind of an interesting one as a quick aside. All right, you obviously watched all the film, not just Jordan Love, but a little bit of everything, because you and I and Justice and all of us are just weird sicko individuals. But what did some of the other takeaways that you got from that game?
Yeah, I mean, the first guys I went to, like I said, like I looked at, first thing I looked at was Love, and then after that is the individual players. And I have not gone through all of them yet, but I went through the full tape, and then I hone in, okay, who are the guys I'm interested in? Because a lot of those guys are like 20 snaps. I think I hit someone last night, I can't remember who it was like 49, but a lot of those were special team snaps. My first 2 were Jordan Morgan and Anthony Belton, because I'm curious about those guys. Morgan, I really hope wins the left tackle spot. Belton, I've always seen more as a guard, but obviously he was at tackle. And I thought they played well. I mean, I will say that, again, like I've mentioned Love with the 3-step drop stuff. They didn't ask those guys to do, like in the run game, what they're going to be asked to do. Like I think there was no pulling. Both those guys can move, and they're going to pull those guys as part of the power run game. I think the closest we got to someone pulling was Jordan Morgan had one where it's less a pull and more like a fan out, where it's kind of like an underneath like hinge release and then get to the sideline. And then he had no idea what he was doing at that point. There was a guy out there to block and he kept running, and then you could see him look back like, oh, I think I was supposed to get that guy. But like there was no pulling under the line. There was very like even that one, like they'll do that stuff like a crack toss. I think they're cracking anyone. anyone. They literally just feigning. Like, I don't think they pulled a single guy all night. And so it was pretty basic for what they were asked to do. But I mean, Morgan, one of my concerns, family night, and I'm not alone on that. I thought the feet were good. Really liked his feet. Dude got run through his chest like way too often. And I thought his anchor, a secondary anchor in this, I think looked way better than it did in family. Now, obviously, you're at practice. You've seen him more. The family night was really my first look at him this year. I was like, oh no, because as a horror movie lover myself, that man has a full horror leg sleeve. Like, I got a lot of rooting interest in Jordan Morgan being good. and he was not at family night. I thought he looked much better here. Again, not like a couple of little weird moments, but I thought for the most part, I think if your feet are in the right place and I know you're strong, eventually, hopefully they can teach you how to anchor and be good at that. That's secondary foot stuff, and we know he's strong. So I think that showed up in the preseason. That was encouraging. Belton, again, they didn't ask him to do much. I still think his feet are a little clunky at tackle. Like, to me, ultimately, I know we've been practicing. I don't know if they want to shift him into guard this year or not, but I think he was good for what he was asked to do. I just think when you look at him against like other NFL or like semi NFL talent backup guys, I think the feet just looked a little slow, and we didn't see him pulling. We'll see what happens. Once the game started, once all this stuff's going, I think they want him to stick at tackle. Obviously, if he fails there, he fails there. He moved to guard. That's cool. But I think he looked better than I thought he was going to at the gate. And then, Sorrell. I really like Baron Sorrell. I mean, a lot of that stuff was like I had concerns about him coming out in terms of like holding up against the run game. He had some good reps. He had some other reps where he just looked too small. And then, I mean, it's pass rush stuff, dude. I was excited about Colin Oliver as pass rush. Sorrell, variety of moves, like good hands, strong guy. They basically had him straight up hand in the dirt D end. I think he was in a 2-point stance once. And I think that was because he was shifting before the snap and they caught him when he was shifting. Everything else was 3 and 4, like hand in the dirt guy. Okay. Strong hands, like good counter moves. His pass rush stuff, even if he's just situational pass rusher year one, I'm excited about Baron Sorrell. I mean, I got other dudes too, but I've been talking for a little bit, Andy. I don't want to take all your time here, but those were like the three guys that off the bat, I was like, those guys are cool. I like those guys. So, yeah, I think some other takeaways. Those are my big ones that I was like, oh, okay, you got something here. I think there's something here.
People get way too much of me already. When you are on, please take all of the time, space, energy, and oxygen as you want. It is a welcome reprieve for everyone on here. I guarantee you that. We're talking again to Dusty Evely, Acme Packing Company, Pack a Day Podcast. Find him on social media at Dusty Evely. I think the interesting thing with Belton is I think they are taking a different approach than what they did with Morgan, where it felt like Morgan last year. They're like, we're going to play you everywhere. And his head was just swimming and it never. So I think they're trying to just build a base with Anthony Belton and not throw the kitchen sink at him and be like, hey, you're 4 positions. And I think, whether that sticks or not, or whether he ends up at guard remains to be seen. I just like that there's somebody with a little bit more power that, behind him. And that can actually, I saw you post as well. I actually had it on my list of things to do if I got to it, to post the Kadeem Telfort just toss of the dude on the ground. And I saw you beat me to that one. So that was a really fun play in the game as well. But lots of really fun ones. And as I talked about yesterday with Jacob Morley, it's if you actually went out and could handpick some of the players that you could actually watch to play well in this game, Jordan Morgan, Anthony Belton, Baron Sorrell, Matthew Golden, like those would have been the ones that you kind of picked. And they actually did play for the most part well in this game to your point with what they were asked to do. Really quick on Jordan Morgan, the thing that you mentioned there that I actually really liked is a lot of times when you have, which I kind of almost still consider him like a rookie because it felt like last year was such a redshirt year. But when you ask those young players, or when you see like those mistakes happen in 1 week, and then you ask them to make the adjustments in the next week, it doesn't always work that way. The fact that it felt like there were real legitimate adjustments and like he picked up on like, okay, that's what I did wrong. I can't make that mistake again. And then fixed that. Like I was actually very encouraged by that. And I thought he had a nice day at practice yesterday as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of it like that, but that is, because everything else looked clean. It was just that anchor. It was a little uncertain in the steps and the set sometimes. So if that's what he can do, a lot of that was LVN, and LVN just wants to run through your chest. But he had guys try to do that against the Jets too, and I thought he was good. So that's a good point about maybe a little coaching point that he took to heart. That'd be nice if that's all it was, man. That'd be awesome.
Very much so. All right, a couple quick things before we get you out of here. We got a first glimpse, on the actual football field, not just practice, of Matthew Golden on kind of a slightly bigger stage. What was your impression of Golden, and what do you think he can bring to this offense this upcoming season?
Man, he's cool. Matthew Golden's cool. I mean, that's I mean, good route runner. Every route was sold, man. Like if you're trying to sell vertical, he's selling everything vertical. He's sudden and smooth out of the breaks. Obviously the hands on that one when no one else could catch. I mean, it's dude, it looks so natural. I mean, and you mentioned the one from practice yesterday where he goes down and gets it. I mean, this is I feel insane because I'm like, this one slant catch he had was incredible. But there's a smoothness to it. It's that out of the break, he kind of sells it, the little stutter. He goes inside, hands catch and gets upfield immediately. There's such a, again, smoothness, explosion as well, but just the way he plucks the ball is it's so easy. And then one of the big things I'd like to see run blocking because, why not? He's first round pick.
Yep.
I think he had two. He had one against Sauce. That was like very typical like DB wide receiver hand fighting, but like my whole thing with wide receivers is, especially down the field, do you know where to be and are you willing to do it? And he did, and that's good. I enjoyed that. The other one that I saw live and I was like, this is they're asking him to do this already. They had him in his insert blocker. It was just like, so under the line between the tight end and the tackle on a zone run to his side. That stuff, like Wicks and Watson do that stuff, and like it wasn't lockdown. Like he hits the guy, but he meets the guy in the hole. He turns him. I think the guy ends up making a tackle. I think it's a 1 yard gain, something like that. But that's something that, like, for a first round undersized pick, my whole thing all offseason has been if they have Reed and Golden on the field at the same time, I don't know if they can run their offense the way they have shown that they want to run their offense. That condensed split, a lot of the run heavy stuff, because you got two guys who are a little undersized. Like, how are they going to do the blocking stuff? Again, I don't know if they're going to ask Golden to do that 1,000 times. That may have just been, you're in here for 7 reps. Let's get you one like this. The fact that he was in there and did it and didn't make a fool of himself and actually, like, I mean, he didn't get shoved back. He didn't end up on the ground. Like, that was a perfectly good rep from him. That was encouraging to me from that thing. That was like, I think that was my most, like, the catch was cool. Watching him go insert and not make a fool of himself, like, all right, man, okay, we're cooking here. But yeah, no, he was, I mean, as advertised. I'm one preseason game, 7 reps. I'm ready. Just fit him for the Hall of Fame jacket, brother. Like, it was a lot of fun.
No, I don't know if I can get quite to that level. Yeah, I know you're obviously, but no, I loved him as well. And I asked Matt LaFleur about that. Just if you could play Reed and Golden on, the offense at the same time. And, he was obviously very, saying that, yes, absolutely. And we'll see if that actually happens in practice. I think it will. But he was very much saying that they could get that they're both scrappy enough to get out there as blockers as well. So I think we will see a decent amount of that this upcoming season, assuming they can actually get these wide receivers healthy moving forward, which would be a nice step in that direction. We're right now live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios. We are right now joined by Dusty Evely on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. All right. I have one last film question for you, and it has nothing to do about football. You mentioned, and as I know, you are a big horror guy. This is a little bit of a, I've heard a decent year already. We've got Sinners, we've got Weapons. All right. So Dusty, if I'm only going to see one, because that's probably what's going to happen. What is your recommendation for what I go out and watch this upcoming summer?
Oh man, I've not seen Weapons yet. So Weapons is the people who did Barbarian, and Barbarian blew me away. So I'm trying to stay away from spoilers. I'm gonna say, just because I've seen it, Sinners is incredible, dude. Like it's almost less horror. The back half it's period drama. Cast is incredible. Kugler does amazing work. The setting's amazing. There's some scenes that'll blow your mind, and the vampire stuff is fun. So I may change my mind after I see Weapons. For now, yeah, dude, Sinners is nuts.
I'm sorry, Dave Portnoy did not like Sinners, so that is the incorrect answer.
Oh, no.
I know. All right, Dusty, I cannot thank you enough. Tell all the incredible people where we can find all of your incredible work.
Yeah, on socials at Dusty Evely, and then Acting Packing Company for writing. I got something up now on the Amar Johnson touchdown run. I'll have written up on Jordan Love's dropbacks, and then probably some stuff on Sorrell and just kind of emptying the notebook stuff before his second preseason game in the next couple of days. And just, I grab a lot of clips. I know you do as well, Andy. I need to drop them somewhere. So I'm going to drop them an article at some point in the next couple of days. And then Pack a Day tomorrow with Sarah and Steve.
Awesome. Cannot wait for that either. And as soon as you get anything film related out, I think I probably am your number one watcher as soon as that comes out. So if you are not checking that out, you are doing yourself a huge disservice as a Packers fan, because it is not only educational, it is fun, and it really just gets you in that sicko behavior of being a real football and Packers fanatic, which is what we're trying to cultivate here on the Pack a Day radio show. Dusty, cannot thank you enough. We'll do this again, hopefully a billion times throughout the course of the season. Appreciate you, and we'll talk again very soon.
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks, Andy.
You bet. Thanks again to Dusty Evely for joining us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Make sure to follow him on social media at Dusty Evely. This is the Pack a Day Radio Show. We'll be right back with more right after this.
The lingering question is, what do we make of Jordan Love, and what do we think he is after year two?
I am still optimistic. It's just I do have a little bit more of contention of some of the scrambling stuff. He probably is always going to be this level of inaccurate, so I'm still optimistic, but maybe a hair less than I was.
I think that what happened last year kind of pulls me back a little bit more than it does with you. But I will say part of the reason I'm still optimistic is that you can't teach the highs, right? There aren't that many quarterbacks who provide the creativity, the playmaking from the pocket, and the explosive element that he's going to give you just by virtue of him being your starting quarterback.
Welcome back to the Pack a Day Radio Show. Again, my name is Andy Herman. Thanks so much for joining us today. Always appreciate that. A huge thank you to Dusty Evely as well for joining us this past segment. That was Robert Mays and Derek Klassen, courtesy of the Athletic Football Show, talking about sort of expectations for Jordan Love for 2025 and where he kind of ranks on their quarterback list. And to kind of get a better feel for that, we had Mike Sando of the Athletic put together his full quarterback tiers list after talking to coaches, executives, etc. and Jordan Love's interesting spot with some interesting comments. We'll get to that in just a moment. But before we get there, Tommy, we do have another epic leadoff show coming up today. You picked a great year, by the way, to start a Brewers leadoff show. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah, I told Sparky yesterday the Brewers are the best team of all time since the inception of the leadoff show. That's just a fact.
It's got to be related.
That's just a fact, Andy. That's all I'm saying. I just say facts. That's all I want to do. But yeah, 5 o'clock today. We got a 90-minute show. Should be great. Freddie Peralta versus Paul Skeens. It's Cub Scout night. Only reason I know that is because Sparky's going to the game because his son's a Cub Scout. So we're gonna have a great time with that. We'll hear from Pat Murphy, of course, too. And honestly, Andy, it's the most fun thing in town right now, watching Brewers baseball
in the world.
Yeah,
in the world right now.
The power of friendship is strong.
Taylor Swift releasing albums and the Brewers winning baseball games is the two things that move the needle worldwide right now. That's the only thing that's keeping us going as a humanity, I believe. All right. Other than, I guess, maybe Jordan Love, too. Let's get to Mike Sandel's list really quick here before we get out of here. Have you seen the list, Tommy?
I did take a look at this yesterday, yes.
All right. I was going to quiz you to see where you thought he was at, but he is at number 13. So here's and in tier 2. So they listed in tiers of quarterbacks, and then they ranked them all out from, I think it was 1 to 34. 34 with Kenny Pickett coming in last at number 34. The top 10 in order: Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow tied for number 1, Josh Allen at number 3, Lamar at 4, Stafford at 5, who continues to deal with that back injury, by the way. Those are your tier 1 quarterbacks. And then tier 2 is Jaden Daniels at 6, Justin Herbert at 7, Jared Goff at 8, CJ Stroud at 9, Jalen Hurts also at 9, tied with Stroud, Baker Mayfield at 11, Dak Prescott at 12, Jordan Love at 13, and then Brock Purdy at 14. And then you start tier 3 after that. So he comes in at number 13. Some interesting comments on this one from different executives and coaches. Quote, I do like his accuracy, his athleticism, and his arm strength. The vision and processing tools are what hold him back a little bit. The next one is, when we faced him last year, I felt like if you could get to him, you could rattle him, a defensive coach said. He distributes the ball, and they have big skill players who are tough to bring down. That is how he makes his hay. I do not watch him and think, oh, he is bleeping people up. The next one. Jordan does a great job. He has a mastery of their offense. He handles multiple cadences and tempos well. And if anything, I think his growth is stifled a little by playing the coach's offense as opposed to doing more of what Jordan Love would excel doing, which is interesting because I think a lot of people feel like it's the others, that Jordan is excelling because of Matt LaFleur's offense. Another one said, when we played them, I was like, man, the ball is going downfield. He doesn't give a bleep. You don't see a lot of quarterbacks play like that these days. It's almost like they build it into their offense and see the benefits of making you defend the whole field and hitting a couple in exchange for a pick or two. Another one, it was interesting playing him. I came away thinking there's something different about this kid. And then last but not least, he is like what you wish Geno Smith was, an offensive coach said. He's a little bit of a gunslinger, and at times it gets him into trouble, but he's more consistently good than bad, where Geno is more toward the middle or back of that. Jordan has the physical talent to get away with it better. So with that, let's get to my Potawatomi Sportsbook final thought of the day.
You got to do some smart thinking.
It's time for Andy Herman's final thought of the day.
What are you thinking?
Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
What the hell were you thinking?
You're listening to the Pack a Day radio show on 1250 AM and 1057 FM The Fan.
All right, maybe not super hot takey here, but I'm going to say that when we get this same article next year, Jordan Love will easily be in the top 10 of this list. He will pass Dak Prescott. He will pass CJ Stroud. He will pass Jared Goff. He will pass Jaden Daniels, and he will pass Matthew Stafford on this list in 2026. So we are going to see Jordan easily be in the top 10, somewhere in that 7 to 8 range following this upcoming season. That is my Potawatomi Sportsbook final thought of the day. Tommy, we got to get out of here, but any final thoughts of the day from you, my friend?
I wanted to be the Jalen Hurts hater. I really did. But everyone else has just beat me to it. I can't get behind it. CJ Stroud is not as good as Jalen Hurts. I can't get behind it, and he's probably way too low on that list.
So you think Jalen Hurts should be higher, CJ Stroud should be lower?
I think closer to number 1, Jalen Hurts should be. Not that he is number 1, but I'm saying move in that direction. And CJ Stroud, yes, should be lower on this list, yes. And Matthew Stafford, quite frankly, is way too high on the list, too. He is not the 5th best quarterback.
tier 1 seems aggressive and 5th best seems aggressive. I still think he plays at a pretty incredible level when healthy, but also you got this back injury going on, which is honestly one of the more interesting aspects of anything that's going on in the NFL right now. I legitimately think, Tommy, that with Stafford, they're a legitimate contender, and without him, they're not even remotely close to a playoff team. So that is, I think, one of the big swings in the NFC that could potentially be happening right now. All right, that's going to be where we end things today on a solid Matthew Stafford conversation. I appreciate you, Tommy, for everything you brought to the table today. Dusty Evilly as well. Stay tuned for that Mason Crosby show with Mitch Thunder Nellis coming up next from 9 to 11 right here on The Fan. You can find the Pack a Day podcast 365 days a year wherever you get your favorite podcast, as well as the Pack a Day radio show out there as well, and wherever you want to get them on YouTube, both the Pack a Day radio show and the Pack a Day podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with Jacob Westendorf. This has been the Pack a Day radio show. Enjoy your Tuesday, and of course, go Pack Go.